If you want to participate, contact me at ordinarywomenpodcast@gmail.com. I'm sure you have great projects to brag about. You can also follow me and message me on Instagram at ordinarywomenpodcast, on Twitter at ordinarywomenpc, or on Facebook on the page Ordinary Women. Hello, welcome to Ordinary Women. Hello, Cinzia. Thank you so much for being here today.
Hi, thanks a lot for having me here.
Can you start by presenting yourself?
Yeah, so my name is Cinzia Clem. I'm 28 years old and I'm a PhD student in London. Yeah, I'm currently finishing up my thesis and I'm really happy to be here.
Great. I'm so happy to have you as well. Can you say something unusual about yourself?
I was thinking about that question and I thought maybe it's quite funny how I memorize things whenever I want to keep something in mind. And my memory is quite good, so I thought that's probably a good example. I tend to think about the clothing I was wearing or other people were wearing.
Oh.
So it's like really random. I'm very bad in keeping notes, which I should actually as well for my job. But I remember stuff that I did based on the clothes I was wearing, which is, or like shoes or something, or a necklace or whatever. It's really stupid, but
that's so funny.
But my memory is quite good compared to especially my partner's memory. But he was asking me what's my secret, and it's literally thinking about what someone was, like something special in the room someone was wearing. That's why I like to have like different colors during the week, because that's how I organize my... I should probably just keep a journal.
Cool. Since we're here to talk about being an ordinary woman and doing cool stuff as women, was there a moment in your life when you realized that you are a woman?
Yeah, actually, quite early when I was just a child and I went to primary school and my teacher was asking me if I'm not upset that my mum has a job and is not at home in the afternoons, and I was like,
what?
I remember thinking, first of all, no, I was happy that I got to watch TV unsupervised and my sister was there, so I was never 100% unsupervised. But I was also thinking, why do you criticize my mum with that specifically? Because my father was home earlier, so he was usually taking care of us in the afternoon. And that was the moment when I was like, why do people care about what my mum is doing more than... And I think it kept on going through my whole school life that people were thinking it's sad for me that my mum was working. And I never really understood that. But I think that was the moment when I was like... there is something different between my mum and dad, and
Oh, wow. So you're from Germany. Is it a common thing in Germany for women not to work?
I think, at least because I'm from a rural area, and a lot of women just, when I was young at least, most mums were stay-at-home mums. Because I think it's also lucky that in my area living is quite cheap, so it is possible to live with just one salary, or families can like sustain themselves. So yeah, I think it was quite normal, at least when I was young, to just stay at home or at least have like just a part-time job, so you're there when your child is like off from school. And in Germany you actually don't have full day school, so you finish at 1 and you go home, and then usually your mum would be home because they would just work as well in the morning or not at all. So people were a little bit concerned that my sister and me were just staying alone at home.
Oh, wow. And did you have any friend, or did you know anyone who had a stay-at-home dad?
Not really. At that time, it was really unusual, at least in my area. Now it's much more, I think. It's just common that like sometimes the man stays as well at home. But I think still, it's more like a city thing. In the town or like in the city close nearby, it was more normal to have like a dad staying at home. But yeah, in my area, it's still quite uncommon for the woman being the main person that earns the money and sustains the family.
And did that have an impact on your professional career?
So definitely. I mean, my mum she was actually having her own business and my father was helping her to start her business. So from me being a child, I always saw my mum as someone to look up to. And that it's just normal as a woman to work as well and to have the career you want to have and that you don't have to be a stay-at-home mum. I mean, it's a decision you can make and it's nothing against that. But I never felt that, I have to be there 100% for children if I ever wanted to have a child. I think I grew up more open to start my own career.
And did you grow up having feminine models?
Yeah, so that's obviously my mum was always the big not even a feminine, because I thought it's just normal that a woman is doing her own career and doing whatever she wants. And I grew up in a family where my father and my mum, they both shared the chores and they would both do work in the house, and it was never just a classic role model. So for me, it was actually at some point when I was a teenager, I realized that this is not the norm, and this is actually quite unusual that my father's the one who's doing the laundry and who's doing all the ironing, and other parents would say, oh, this is weird, or my friends would say their father would never ever do anything like this, what my father's doing.
Yeah, I kind of had the same experience actually, because my parents are quite, well, at least from my point of view, maybe my mom would disagree, but I always saw them share the chores basically. And when I grew up and started looking at statistics or hearing my friends talking, then only I realized that women were doing a lot more. It's good to grow up in such an environment.
Yeah, I think it also gives you a nice role model. For me, it was never ever the question doing everything for my partner. I would never even want to date a person who would be like, you're a woman, so you have to clean, you have to do everything because I'm a man, I can't do that. No, like my father could do it. And they grew up in the 70s when, I mean, obviously the 70s were already quite free, but in Germany it was still very conservative in my area, and still they were raised quite open, or like, yeah, in a feminist way, although I think both of my parents aren't even aware that they're quite progressive.
Oh, that's interesting. Because for them, it's just normal.
Yeah, for them, it's just how it should be
in
a relationship. You're a team and not,
Yeah, like it's not a woman raising one more child.
Yeah, and it's also like, because my mum had her own business and my father also had his job, they actually are now in a position that they can look forward to their retirement, and they can afford things that their parents couldn't afford or they couldn't afford when they were younger. So I think now they're happy that they chose this way of life.
And did you have any other feminine role model?
So when I was younger, I think one thing I remember is also a teacher. She was my maths teacher, and I was always quite good in maths when I was a younger child. But then I got a horrible teacher who was like telling me, you're a girl, you can't really do much. Obviously, white, middle-aged male person.
Oh, how surprising.
But then when it came closer to my Abitur, or like my A-level equivalent in Germany, I got a young female maths teacher who was super excited to actually show girls that you don't have to be a guy to understand maths. You can also, as a girl, do whatever you want to. And if you're interested in STEM, or if you're interested in maths or something more computational, you can do that. And I've improved my grades a lot just because of her, because she was making me not feel bad anymore for liking science or liking maths. And although she was really young, I'm really happy that she was there for me and supported me. And also obviously my sister, who was always someone to look up to and always went her own way, and now she's also her own business leader. So I'm probably quite privileged to grow up with a lot of women who were quite strong around me. So
yeah, that's very cool. So important to have that type of models.
Yeah, definitely.
And today, do you have different or similar role models?
I mean, obviously still my mum and sister who are like still someone to look up to. And I feel sometimes, because I'm the youngest, I probably have to do a little bit, go into their footsteps. Yeah, but also now, I think nowadays it's more friends as well, how I see how all my friends actually develop and get their own careers. And it's so exciting that everyone is just doing what they want to do and not what society tells them. Or at least when I was younger, what society was like telling me in a way that basically education is a waste of time anyway, which is so hilarious. That people can even say that. We're like in the 21st century and people still, at least in rural Germany, believe that you should be at home at the kitchen and be there for your child and just be submissive to your husband.
Oh, wow.
Yeah, it's kind of ridiculous. But yeah, it's great that so many young women progress their careers without thinking even what other people think about them. Or
yeah, it's so important to have that type of representation. You in a way are one more proof of that, what you were saying earlier about your math teacher, and now you are almost done with your PhD in science.
Yeah, definitely. I feel like it's just great that those people were influencing me so much that I was brave enough to pursue the career I wanted to do. Because at some point I remember I was like a bit scared of, should I start university? Should I move to another city? Should I go abroad? Should I go do a master's after my bachelor's? Should I do a PhD after my master's? And I feel like because I knew people were believing in me, but I also saw other people doing this and being successful, that I felt like I can do it. And yeah, especially also in my field, there's loads of women who are also publishing great work. And it's just interesting to see and exciting to see that it's not just a male-dominated field anymore.
That's so important. Cool. Well, I think it's enough talking about other people, and let's dive into your own projects.
I was thinking I'm going to talk today a little bit more, not specifically about what I'm doing in my PhD, but just what in general it involves to do a PhD, and maybe also motivate other girls to pursue a PhD that are still undecisive if it's too much work or if it's too much responsibility. But I think because for myself, I just grew into that position. There were so many things that made me progress by myself, and I think that's so valuable for anyone who maybe thinks about doing it. And you don't have to start off being perfect at the beginning. You don't have to know everything. You don't have to have all the skills, because you will just develop them during your career. In my project, I actually got the chance to do things that I never thought I would do when I started it. I applied for just a project 3 years ago, which was just doing some genomic research, so mainly molecular biology based, which wouldn't involve any computational part. But then due to the pandemic and also that our software was breaking down, it was developed by another lab, and that lab didn't maintain it. So at some point we couldn't analyze our data anymore. So I actually had to start to learn coding and learn to actually develop my own application. And I never thought I could do that, because I thought, yeah, I've studied biology, I'm a biologist, I'm happy with that field. I can't really do anything that involves maths or any computational bit. Yeah, that challenged me to actually really work for myself as well, and also independent of my supervisor, who doesn't know at least the coding language I was using. He doesn't really know it, so I really had to teach myself a little bit. I got obviously support from another lab member who actually studied maths, so he was helping me a bit, but that was really nice as well. He was trying to make me learn how to do it and really saying, I want you to be the person who does this. He could have been doing it probably much faster. It would have been much easier for him. But he asked me, do you want to do it? Do you want to learn how to do app development? And I was like, yes, sure, would be great. I think that's the great thing, that it showed me that I can do stuff that I never thought I would be able to do, because I was never expecting that I could actually learn something like coding or something more like with computers. I'm still sometimes struggling to know how to do things with a computer. So it's not that I'm a genius in that way, not at all, but I feel like this really challenged me and really made me realize I can do whatever I want. It just takes some dedication, and I realized I enjoy it a lot as well. Like, if you enjoy it, then it's a great thing to start. And I feel like just because you're taught as a girl you're not as good as a guy in using a computer, because they learn it when they play computer games. You can't do that, you will never be as good. That is not true. As long as you enjoy it and as long as it's fun, you can create things that you'd never thought you could. And I think that's really important. And another part of doing my PhD, what I thought was really great, was that I was able to supervise as well other students. And just recently we sent off a publication with a collaborator, which involved a project of my master's student. She just finished a few months ago, and she was staying with us for, I think, 6-7 months. And she was so great that she got something that is going to be published soon. And
that's so great.
It's great. And now she's pursuing as well a PhD. And I'm just happy that I managed to make her excited for what we're doing, because she was starting in lab not knowing if she wanted to do a PhD, if lab work is something for her. She's never worked in a lab before. And not only she managed to get like a successful project out of it that's going to be part of a publication soon, she also really loved science so much that she wants to stay in the subject, and she wants to do her own PhD and as well start her own career. And I'm just so happy that I could be part of that. And she literally thanked me as well for being a good supervisor. And I'm proud that I felt like I really had the proud mum moment that probably my mum had when I started being independent and started studying.
Yeah, you were the feminine role model for her, in a way.
Yeah, or we were just friends, and I think that's the main thing. I think the most important thing is that you need to show people that they can do whatever they want to do if they're just dedicated. Yeah, she had the dedication, and it was all her work. That's the thing. I can only be proud of her. So I think that's the really nice things that I've learned in the past years.
And how did you start?
I know that if I would have been not doing my PhD, I would have been probably being in a job where someone else tells me what to do, who's like probably less skilled than me. And I was just thinking that this is probably not the route I want to go. I just felt like I was always interested in science, and I was always wanting to do research. But I knew if I'm not doing the PhD, I'm probably going to be just like someone who does all the research, but not the one who decides about it. And I always wanted to be deciding about my own project, shaping my own project, developing my own project. So I think that was the main motivation why I've pursued my PhD. And I think, it was in the end a good decision.
Cool.
Because, I mean, in science it's probably a bit more common to do your PhD, and especially if you want to be more in like a leadership role later on. So I think it was just a career step which I took because I'd like to be a little bit higher on the career ladder if that's, but I feel like it's also good. I think it's nice to say that, like, if you are like a little bit more competitive, or
like you have ambition and you work for achieving what you want to achieve. And were there any important figures, any person who really played an important role in that?
Yeah, there's my boss himself. He's a man. He's not my female person that I can look up to. But I had like, my team was like, it's just so many women and men who decided so about my project. Like my panel chair, she's a very successful woman, and she was super supportive. And also my boss, I truly believe he doesn't care if you're a man or a woman. He just wants you to do well. And he obviously gave me the chance because he believes in me. And I think that's the nice thing about academia, is really you feel like there is no such thing as as misogyny. It's just like people try to help you, and people really try to help you in your development and not stop you, but also let you swim a little bit alone. You get support, but you need to really work yourself, and that's I think what I wanted.
A lot of independence.
Which is great. I mean, it's kind of like sometimes a bit hard and sometimes you struggle with it, but
did you have a lot of challenges when doing your PhD? Like, especially, I guess you could expect a quite huge amount of work before starting your PhD.
So I think the main issue is that you're always thinking of yourself, you're not doing enough, and you're always thinking... So it's more like the self-criticism, and I feel like what helped me is to talk about that to my peers, like my panel. Luckily, we have a lot of meetings, we have every half a year checkup, but still sometimes it just helps to just send an email and say, can you please support me? Because that's the main thing. You have to plan yourself and you have to do a lot of work yourself, but you're not alone. You can always get help from others, or also the other people I work with in the lab, the other PhD students. I made great friends, and not only the people I started with, but also the new students which came to our lab. It's great now that I'm working together with Grace, who's my co-worker, and she started a year after me, and now she asks me the question which I used to ask our old colleague. And it's just great to see the development, and you get more and more competent just naturally, and I feel like that's just the best thing, to see how much you progress. And I think sometimes when I'm down and sometimes when I feel nothing works, and that's gonna happen, especially in science, it's unfortunately a lot of time is spent not doing the right thing, or doing or it's not successful, the hypothesis you're following up. But I don't know, when you think how far you came and what you achieved so far, it always motivates me again. I will, I can finally give a summary when I'm finished in like a few months, hopefully.
And was there something that was easier than what you thought would be?
I thought it would be much harder in the end, to connect to my colleagues. At the beginning, I was really scared that it would be very competitive, and I had to basically give 100% and work day and night and really try to force my way through, because I feel like in labs that I've worked before, it was much harder, the competition. And that's the nice thing, that I've been lucky as well with the position I got and with my colleagues, because they all want you to do well. And my boss, obviously, he wants to support me as good as he can. And I feel like if you're working in an environment like that, you're just doing better work. And I think that's also something, if I were to become a PI one day and lead my own students, then I would really try to teach them in a way that they're happy to work and they are like excited and they want to work for me, rather than they're scared of me. At the beginning I was really worried that I'm just not delivering and people would be disappointed, but I think now this is just much better, and I'm lucky that I have people who support me.
Yeah, that's great to have a great working environment. That's so important.
And also, that people believe in you, and you're not, especially not because you're a girl, you're not less. And people take my advice and respect me for my opinion. Also, with the coding, that they actually believe that what I'm doing is good and what I'm doing is the right thing, and not that they say, oh, you can't do it because you're a girl.
And is there something that makes you very proud of you in your PhD?
Yeah, I mean, I think really what makes me proud is that I think I have so many people who are happy to work with me. Not only my master's student, but also my co-workers who ask me questions and who really value my opinion. And I think that just being like helping them and they help me, and having an environment that makes me happy to work with, and people I can like have a beer after as well and just have a good time. And I actually really enjoy going to work. And I think that's the thing I'm the most proud of, that we're just enjoying our life together and enjoying our work time, and not just like trying to get it done as soon as possible.
Yeah, cool. Well, I think you mentioned earlier that after your master's, it was
Yeah.
kind of the natural way to get your PhD. So was there a long time between the moment when you first thought about doing your PhD and starting it?
So the funny thing is, I thought after my bachelor's I could maybe just go and get a job. But then as soon as I started my master's, I thought, okay, now I want to actually pursue this career and I really like science. And yeah, it was nice as well that my family was actually very supportive in that moment, because I was thinking, should I do a master's? Because after my bachelor's, it was a lot of pressure and I was struggling a little bit and I wasn't sure if I just want to have a normal job and peace and not staying in academia, being a student, having no money, having exams, having lots of high workload and still like trying to just barely survive, especially because, yeah, you don't really get student support in Germany, so my parents had to pay it. So I also felt bad for my parents. I was working the whole holidays to kind of support them as well and to finance my life. Yeah, but then I thought, when I made the decision I want to continue, I want to do my master's, then I was like, well, but I want to be a scientist. I want to do research. So for me it was then quite natural to start applying for PhDs, because I just knew that this is what I really love. And that's very important, that if you really want something, try and do it. And obviously you will always struggle with sometimes and think, is it the right decision? Is this gonna be not too hard for me? Will I actually be successful, or am I even good enough? And I think, yeah, it's important to just have people around who can help you doing the decision. And in the end, I mean, you can't lose really anything from trying. In worst case, I also thought, if I don't like the PhD, I knew it can be hard. Some people work in environments which are really toxic and have crazy workloads and supervisors who are horrible and who don't really support them. And I was worried about this. But I talked to my mum and she literally said to me, well, in worst case, you can always come back. In worst case, you can stop what you're doing. And well, like, you have nothing to lose. And I think that made me like pursuing it and not being scared of it anymore. Yeah, I was really lucky that I had people who were supportive all the way through.
Yeah. If you had one advice to give to someone who wants to start a PhD but isn't sure, what would it be?
I think the main thing is, don't start anything you're not really excited about. If you're excited about the topic, it's gonna be good no matter what. And I think also it's good to really check if you like the people you will work with, because it's gonna be 3 years, and it's in a normal job you can just like search for another job, whereas with a PhD you kind of have to get along with your supervisor for the whole time. So I think it is very important to know the people you're working with, kind of supportive, want you to progress, and don't think you're not good enough. Definitely, I mean, obviously they wouldn't hopefully hire you if you're not good enough.
Yeah.
And the second thing is really, if you're excited for the project, you should definitely think about it, because it's fun and it's low pay for a while, but then in the end you get so much more out of it. I think it's great as well in the end for like job opportunities, especially if you want to be a little bit higher in the leadership in like scientific areas. It's great. And the good thing about academia is it's very supportive as well for like later on, if you want to have kids as a woman. It's, I think, a great environment to work in and still be recognized and still be not sort of pushed off because you need time off for children. So I think it's a great area to work.
Yeah, and a good balance between professional and personal life.
Yeah, definitely. It's just also nice that, your skills are evaluated rather than just your sex or how you look like or where you're from. Or what's your background, what's your religion. There's no questions about this. It's just, do you have passion for science? And that's the great thing. I think scientists are more connecting more like with science rather than anything else. And that's, it's great as well to see how different our backgrounds are. Like the other PhD students I work with, or postdocs, or even PIs. Everyone's from all over the world, and that's, it's exciting to work with so many people from different backgrounds.
Yeah, you learn so much thanks to diversity.
Yeah, it's great. And I think luckily that academia is pushing diversity quite well. I mean, it's probably still not great. And unfortunately, I think there was a survey going on that asked students to rate their professors. And sadly, apparently, middle-aged wild men got the best scores, because obviously people, especially students, have still this thought of a scientist as being some men with like white hair in their lab coats and...
like Einstein.
Yeah, like Einstein,
looking.
literally. So that's a little bit the sad thing. Although the university tries a lot to promote diversity, to promote having scientists from all over the world, I think still there's this mindset of students that a professor has to be a man in their 50s, 60s. We have to, as women, we have to work together to change this mindset. We have to really focus that women are seen in science, and not only in biology, where women actually luckily play a big part, So I think it's right now almost 50%, even in higher positions of women, saying that. I think really when it comes to the PI level, like on the professorship level, there needs to be definitely more done in promoting diversity. But I think biology is one of the subjects where you find a lot of women in STEM, whereas maths, bioinformatics, physics, chemistry, it's still a highly male-dominated domain. And I think it doesn't have to be, because there's so many smart young women out there. But I think we really need to change the mindset of students, or like even children, or school students, not thinking that the chemist is a crazy guy with white hair like Einstein, or a physicist is some guy like from the Big Bang Theory with glasses and like nerdy clothing and no social skills. So I think we really need to change our mindset in that area.
That's so interesting, honestly. Yeah. I asked all my questions. Is there something else you want to say about your project, about your PhD, or about anything else, actually? Is there something else that you want to add?
Yeah, I think it's just never listen to people who want to bring you down and want to make you be a person that they want you to be, because what's the point? You only live once, which is, the older I get, the more I think about this sentence. Yeah, literally. And I'm really thinking now, well, I only have this life. I need to do whatever I want to do. I need to pursue the career I want to pursue. I want to live the life I want to, live. And not just someone else's vision of what I should be or what I have to be. And I think, that's important. We all have to be proud of what, we're doing. And if you love science, since I'm a child, I wanted to be a scientist. And I'm so glad now that I chose this route, because that's what I really wanted to do. And I think if you want to be an artist, be an artist. If you want to be going to finance, I don't know much about finance, but I think it's great. Like, we need more women everywhere. Like,
Oh, thank you so much. That's so great to hear. And I definitely agree with everything you said. Well, we've reached the end of this episode. Thank you so much for everyone who's listened. Thank you so much, Cinzia, for being here today.
Thank you for having me. It was really great to talk to you.
It was great to listen to you. That was super interesting, really.
I hope it wasn't too scientific.
No,
I think I didn't try to talk about too much what I'm actually doing. Like,
you didn't mention yeast.
Oh yeah. I should give credit to the yeast. All the yeast, and yeast doesn't judge. Yeast is actually neither female nor male. So yeast is actually the organism. They have A and alpha as sexes. They do have sexes though.
Oh,
but they're beautiful. They grow together when they want to mate, so that's how we should all be. We should not be. we should just grow together as an entity, as men and women, not being like aliens from a different planet.
Yeasts. As the guest, you get the very last word, so the mic is yours.
Don't sit around at home. Just do whatever you want to do, because that's more fun.